They don't need chains to keep you locked up. They've found something far more effective: your own mind. While you scroll, laugh, and complain, they're feeding you lies, shaping your fears, and programming you to stay weak, broke, and obedient. And the scariest part? You think it's normal. The system you live in does not reward brilliance, creativity, or independent thought. It rewards obedience. From the moment you're a child, you're trained to conform. You're placed in a classroom, not to learn how to think, but to memorize and repeat. You're told to sit down, be quiet, raise your hand, wait your turn, and follow instructions. Think differently, and you're labeled a problem. This conditioning starts early for a reason, because those in control don't want leaders, they want followers. They don't want strong minds that challenge the narrative. They want compliant workers who never question why they're stuck in a loop. You're taught that success looks like this: go to school, take on debt for a degree, get a 9-to-5 job, pay taxes, and retire when you're too old to enjoy your life. That path isn't built for success, it's built for control. It's designed to trap you in a cycle where you're just productive enough to fuel the machine, but too scared or exhausted to break out of it. They want you to depend on a paycheck, live paycheck to paycheck, and be terrified of losing your job. Fear keeps you in line. The threat of being unemployed, unqualified, or unacceptable in society forces you to obey, even if you hate every second of it. The most dangerous thing you can be in this world is free. A free thinker, a person who isn't emotionally, mentally, or financially dependent on the system. That's why the system never teaches you how to generate your own income, how to build wealth, how to stay fit, how to stay mentally strong, or how to take ownership of your time. Instead, it teaches you to consume, to buy things you don't need, to drown your boredom and stress with entertainment, substances, and distractions. You're handed dopamine on demand, so you never seek real purpose. It keeps you numb, docile, and easy to manage. And then comes the illusion of choice. You're told you live in a free world, but every option you're given is pre-selected for you. You're allowed to choose your job from a list of options that all lead to the same outcome. You're allowed to vote, but only between two candidates who both serve the same agenda. You're allowed to express yourself, so long as you don't threaten the status quo. The illusion of freedom is the most effective form of control. When people believe they are free, they won't fight for real freedom. Brilliance doesn't fit in this framework. Real intelligence disrupts this model. A person who questions, who thinks critically, who takes risks and bets on themselves, can't be controlled. That's why society mocks the ambitious. It calls entrepreneurs greedy, strongmen toxic, and truth seekers conspiracy theorists. They discourage excellence by calling it arrogance. They glorify the average by calling it relatable. They condition you to play small, and then they hand you medals for participation. But here's what they'll never tell you. The people at the top don't live by the rules they enforce on everyone else. They don't go through the same broken system. Their kids don't sit in the same classrooms. They build wealth through networks, assets, and knowledge that isn't found in textbooks. They understand that the system exists not to uplift the masses, but to maintain control. That's the secret. And unless you break the programming, you'll live your whole life inside a cage you don't even see, while calling it freedom. Comfort is one of the most dangerous illusions sold to you by modern society. It's packaged as the goal, the reward, the dream. You're told to chase it, to value it, to protect it at all costs. The comfortable job, the comfortable house, the comfortable routine. But the truth is that comfort is a trap. It kills your hunger, weakens your drive, and blinds you to your potential. When you're too comfortable, you stop growing. Growth only happens when you're under pressure, when you're uncomfortable, when you're forced to adapt and evolve. But society doesn't want you to grow. It wants you tame, settled, predictable. And comfort is the perfect weapon. Look around. The average person will choose a predictable life over a meaningful one. They'll stay in a job they hate because it feels safer than taking a risk. They'll avoid hard conversations because it's easier to keep the peace. They'll settle for mediocrity in their health, their finances, their relationships, just to avoid discomfort. They tell themselves they're being practical. But what they're really doing is giving up. They're choosing to live in a soft prison with invisible bars made of convenience and fear. That's not a life. That's survival. Comfort breeds weakness. When everything is handed to you, when nothing challenges you, you lose the very traits that make you powerful. Resilience, discipline, creativity, grit. These don't come from lying on a couch. They come from hardship, from failure, from putting yourself in situations where you might lose, where you might look stupid, where you have to claw your way through. That's where strength is forged. But most people don't want strength. They want ease. They want instant gratification. And that's exactly what keeps them stuck. Society feeds you this lie that comfort equals success. You're praised for working just enough to afford weekend distractions and fast food. You're encouraged to relax, to binge watch, to unwind. But that relaxation is just a form of sedation. It dulls your senses, your ambition, your ability to recognize how trapped you really are. They want you dependent on comfort so you never build the strength to break out. Because once you taste the pain of discipline and the reward that follows, you become dangerous. You become someone who can't be manipulated with cheap dopamine and shallow rewards. People who chase comfort rarely build anything that lasts. They talk big dreams but never take big actions. They say they want freedom but aren't willing to suffer for it. Real freedom doesn't come from staying safe. It comes from choosing the harder path. From waking up early when your body says sleep. From working when others are relaxing. From investing when others are spending. From pushing through when your mind says quit. These choices are uncomfortable, but they're powerful. They build a version of you that can't be broken. You're not supposed to be comfortable all the time. You're meant to struggle, to climb, to push your limits. That's how you become unbreakable. That's how you become worthy of success. But as long as comfort remains your goal, you'll never get there. You'll keep making excuses, blaming circumstances, envying those who have what you don't, when the truth is, they just chose discomfort over ease. They walked through fire while you sat in front of a screen. Comfort doesn't care about your future. It only cares about keeping you exactly where you are. It whispers that you're okay, that you've done enough, that you don't need to push harder. And if you believe it, you stay stuck. Not because you couldn't do more, but because you chose not to. You are being distracted on purpose. Every scroll, every notification, every trending topic is designed to hijack your attention. It's not random. It's strategic. Your mind is the most valuable real estate in the world, and everyone wants a piece of it. The system doesn't want you focused. Focused people are dangerous. Focused people build, lead, and break rules. But distracted people, they consume, obey, and stay in line. That's the goal, to keep you looking everywhere except at the truth of your own wasted potential. You wake up and check your phone. Before your feet even hit the floor, you've already absorbed 10 headlines, 5 memes, and 3 opinions that have nothing to do with your life. You think it's harmless, maybe even educational, but it's not. It's noise. You're being trained to react instead of think, to be passive instead of intentional. Every minute you spend scrolling is a minute you could have used to level up, but you don't. Because distraction is addictive. It feels good. It gives you the illusion that you're connected, informed, engaged, when really you're just sedated. Look at how entertainment is marketed. Endless TV shows, viral videos, gossip channels, fake drama, influencer nonsense. It's all designed to keep your brain in idle mode, to keep your dopamine on a short leash so that actual discipline feels boring in comparison. And they know this. They know if they can make your brain crave constant novelty, you'll never be able to sit still, focus, or build anything meaningful. You'll be too busy chasing the next hit, the next laugh, the next meaningless piece of information. The world doesn't want thinkers, it wants reactors. If you're always reacting, you're never creating. And if you're not creating, you're not growing. You're staying exactly where they want you, mentally distracted, emotionally weak, and spiritually numb. You're easier to manipulate when your mind is cluttered. You're easier to control when your emotions are dictated by headlines, trends, and the opinions of strangers online. They flood you with content to keep you from accessing clarity. Because once you have clarity, you start to see the truth, and the truth sets you free. They use distraction as a tool of control. While you're busy debating celebrities' love lives or scrolling through 100 TikToks, the people who actually run the world are making moves. They're building wealth, consolidating power, influencing laws, and writing the future. Meanwhile, you're stuck in loops, doom scrolling, watching just one more episode, arguing about nonsense that has zero impact on your real life. That's not coincidence, that's design. The longer they keep you distracted, the longer you delay your potential. Dreams die in distraction, visions fade, skills rot, ideas get buried under an avalanche of nonsense. Your goals don't disappear, they just get drowned out by the noise. And every time you avoid your purpose by choosing distraction, you reinforce the habit of escaping instead of attacking. You train your brain to settle, to avoid discomfort, to chase the easy path instead of the right one. You don't need more time, you need less distraction. You need to reclaim your focus. You need to understand that your attention is your power. And when you give it away carelessly, you become powerless. The real game is mental. And the people winning it are the ones who can sit still, lock in, and do what needs to be done while everyone else is too busy being entertained to notice they're falling behind. You're being sold a victim mindset on every screen, every platform, every conversation you engage in. It's not just encouraged, it's marketed to you like a product. Because the moment you start believing you're a victim, you stop trying to win. You stop fighting, you start blaming. And when you blame, you give away your power. That's exactly what they want. A population that points fingers instead of taking responsibility is a population that can be manipulated, controlled, and pacified. You're told life is unfair. You're told it's someone else's fault you're broke. Someone else's fault you're unhappy. Someone else's fault you're stuck. You're encouraged to believe that you can't change your circumstances without someone stepping in to save you. That's the trap. If you're always waiting for someone to save you, you never save yourself. The system loves that. It thrives when you stay dependent, helpless, and emotionally fragile, because then you're easy to manage. They give you labels, they give you excuses, they tell you your trauma defines you, your background limits you, your identity entitles you to special treatment, they feed you reasons to quit, not reasons to fight. You think that's empowerment? That's programming. You are not being uplifted, you are being softened, stripped of accountability. And without accountability, you can't build anything. Not wealth, not discipline, not strength. Because everything begins with taking ownership. The people selling you the victim narrative are not victims. They're winning. They're profiting from your pain. They sell you books, courses, content, and slogans that keep you emotionally stuck while they level up and rise higher. They exploit your mindset to keep themselves in power. It's psychological warfare disguised as compassion. And most people fall for it. They don't even realize their anger, frustration, and hopelessness are being engineered on purpose. The victim mentality convinces you that effort is pointless. Why work hard if the system is rigged? Why try if you're already doomed? That mindset is poison. Once it takes root, it infects every part of your life. You start choosing comfort over growth. You start avoiding responsibility. You start surrounding yourself with others who also complain, justify, and give up. And now, you're stuck in a community of losers who all validate each other's excuses instead of pushing for change. Being a victim feels good. That's the dark truth. It gives you sympathy, it gives you attention, it removes pressure. You don't have to win because the world's against you, but that relief is short term. Over time, it becomes a cage you can't escape because you no longer believe you have any control. You've traded power for pity, and pity doesn't pay bills. It doesn't create freedom. People who rise, who succeed, who dominate, they all rejected the victim mindset. Not because life was easy for them, but because they understood that believing they were helpless would kill any chance they had to win. They trained their minds to focus on what they could control, not what they couldn't. They turned pain into power. That's what the system doesn't want. It doesn't want warriors, it wants dependents. The truth is brutal but freeing. The world doesn't owe you anything. And that's exactly why you can take everything. You don't need permission. You don't need sympathy. You need clarity. Clarity that no one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to fix your life for you. That's your job. And the sooner you kill the victim inside you, the sooner you become unstoppable. Fear is the oldest and most effective tool of control. It doesn't need chains, prisons, or guns. Just the right pressure on your mind. Fear keeps you still when you should move. Fear makes you obedient when you should rebel. And the system knows this. That's why everything around you is built to keep you scared. Scared of failure, scared of judgment, scared of standing out, scared of trying something different. If they can control your fears, they can control your decisions, your habits, your entire life. Fear starts early. You're taught to fear making mistakes. You raise your hand in school and give the wrong answer, everyone laughs, and it sticks with you. From that moment, you begin to doubt yourself. You hesitate. That hesitation grows into silence. You learn that blending in is safer than standing out. You learn that agreeing is safer than speaking the truth. And by the time you're an adult, fear has wrapped itself around every ambition you have. You want to start a business, but you fear going broke. You want to leave a job, but you fear uncertainty. You want to be great, but you fear what people will say, and so you do nothing. The system doesn't need to stop you physically. It just needs to make you afraid enough to stop yourself. It doesn't need to block the door. It just needs you to believe the door is locked. Fear turns your mind into your own prison. It makes you question every move, every instinct, and while you hesitate, while you wait for the right time, someone else, someone bolder, takes the opportunity that could have been yours. That's how they keep you down. Not with force, but with fear. Think about how fear is marketed. You're bombarded with warnings. Fear of economic collapse, fear of health issues, fear of crime, fear of being canceled. Every headline is engineered to trigger your anxiety. The goal is not to inform you, it's to immobilize you, to keep you watching, listening, and waiting for instructions. If you're too scared to act on your own, you'll rely on the system to act for you. It's how control is maintained, through fear, not freedom. And the people in power? They don't live by that fear. They teach you to fear risk while they take it. They tell you to play it safe while they make moves. They feed you worst-case scenarios while they're betting on the upside. They understand that fear is a weapon, but they only use it on others. They don't consume it themselves. That's the difference between those who lead and those who follow. Leaders confront fear. Followers surrender to it. Fear isn't going anywhere. It will always exist, but it's your reaction to fear that defines your path. Most people think bravery means having no fear. That's false. Bravery is acting in spite of fear. It's making the move even when your heart's racing. It's putting your name on something even if people might laugh. It's failing publicly and getting back up. That's real power. Doing it anyway. When you let fear run your life, you become easy to predict. And predictable people are easy to control. You'll never chase greatness if you're constantly worried about what might go wrong. You'll never build anything if you're always scared of losing. You'll never find truth if you're terrified of being disliked for speaking it. You have to decide what's more painful, the fear of trying or the regret of staying the same. Because one of them will own you. Fear will always whisper in your ear, but if you let it make decisions for you, you're not living. You're just surviving. You are being programmed. Every time you turn on the TV, scroll your phone, listen to a song, watch a movie, or even walk through a store, you're absorbing messages. Not just entertainment, messages. Ideas about who you are, what you should want, what you should believe, and how you should behave. This isn't some wild conspiracy, it's reality. Culture is a machine, and it's feeding your brain constantly. The dangerous part is that most people don't even realize it's happening. That's how programming works. Subtle, repetitive, constant, until you don't question it anymore, until you think it's your own thoughts. You didn't randomly start chasing material things. You were programmed to. You didn't randomly start thinking, I'll never be good enough. That came from years of exposure to media, school systems, and social platforms that condition you to compare, conform, and doubt yourself. You think your insecurities are natural, but they've been planted, repeated enough times that now they sound like your own voice. That's how deep the programming goes. It doesn't just affect what you do, it shapes who you are. The culture glorifies weakness disguised as acceptance. It tells you to embrace laziness as self-care, to glorify failure as identity, to stop trying and just exist. And if you question it, if you push back, you're labeled toxic, aggressive, or out of touch. That's not enlightenment, it's control. Because if you're convinced that striving for more is harmful, you'll never pursue excellence. If you believe your limits define you, you'll never try to break them. And if you reject responsibility, you'll never take power. They've programmed you to believe that ambition is oppressive and comfort is freedom. It's a lie. So think about the heroes you're given, the role models you're shown. They're often passive, broken, reactive, people who complain, not conquer, people who make excuses, not solutions. You rarely see examples of real strength, discipline, and clarity, because that kind of example might wake you up. That kind of person threatens the system. So they give you noise. They distract you with fake drama, fake success, fake depth. You admire people who don't live by truth, but by trends. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to copy them. Even the education system plays its part. You're not taught how to think, you're taught what to think. You're rewarded for memorization, punished for questioning. You're prepared to follow orders, not forge paths. Creativity is stifled, obedience is praised. By the time you're old enough to make real decisions, your mindset has already been shaped to fit inside the box. A box built by a culture that needs you to stay manageable, predictable, safe. The most effective programming is the kind you don't notice. It doesn't scream at you. It whispers. It entertains you while rewiring your beliefs. It makes you laugh while installing fear. It makes you feel accepted while slowly eroding your standards. And because everyone around you is also plugged in, it feels normal. But normal doesn't mean healthy. Normal just means common. And common thinking leads to common results. Struggle, dependence, confusion. You have to deprogram yourself. That doesn't mean cutting off the world and living in a cave. It means watching what you consume. It means questioning what you've been taught. It means asking yourself, is this belief really mine or was it given to me? It means protecting your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. You cannot rise with a mind full of lies. You cannot grow with a heart full of fear someone else placed there. You cannot win if the world has already convinced you that winning is wrong. The only way to take control of your life is to take back control of your programming. The truth is brutal, but it's also your only path to freedom. You've been trapped in a system built to keep you weak, poor, distracted, afraid, and dependent by design. Every fear you feel, every doubt you carry, every distraction you chase, every excuse you believe, and every voice in your head telling you to stay comfortable didn't come from you. It was installed. This world doesn't reward strength anymore, it suppresses it. But if you can wake up, see through the lies, take ownership of your thoughts, reject the victim mindset, shut out the noise, and reprogram yourself for discipline, power, and clarity, then you become dangerous. You become unstoppable. You don't need more motivation. You need awareness. Once you see the trap, you can break out, but no one's going to do it for you. It's on you. And that's the power they never wanted you to realize.